So, as you already saw, we already done the comparison on the Husqvarna 455 Rancher and the Steel MS291 Farm Boss. So we're going to talk about some chainsaw safety tips. As you've seen the previous videos that you thought I was going to get myself cut, but no. I didn't had it way too close to the wood. If I ever did it, I would have caused that thing to do a kickback. But you gotta have your lot of strong grip on it to hang on to that saw. But them saws are extremely super dangerous and they're not a toy. And they are also kind of very scary to use. But like I was saying, but if you've seen the kind of a different horror films, whichever they are, that has chainsaws in them, but I don't remember which one of them it is, that which I seen where people got hurt and injured by a chainsaw by mistakes. But I don't watch those anymore because they're definitely way too inappropriate and too scary. But the only films I watch is Maximum Overdrive and other movies like Unstoppable and Runaway Trains and Trucks and Convoys. That's what I like watching, including the Killdozer movie, not the real Killdozer that was in 2004. It was a 1971 film, or 1974, whichever it is. But if you were logging by pushing dead trees down with an excavator, these chainsaws will be extremely handy to have. But I do not have an excavator yet because I'm going to use all them pine trees as something to practice on. So I could practice, learn how to do some logging and stuff by cutting the logs into log length and stacking the logs and holding the log with an excavator when I buck it up for firewood. But it's just something for me to have and something to practice on. Which means they're lighter, that way you won't be able to get hurt. But the giant oak trees, you will get hurt if you don't know what you're doing. But I do recommend to practice on pine trees to begin to start with to learn how to do it properly. I use those to practice how to fell a tree, to practice on with a training. That's all I definitely using them for. Because I'm definitely planning to clear out a space where I could see my garage and stuff, where I can definitely see the garage. But all of these things right here, I'm going to have to get all of them out of the way and all of them gone. So now I can definitely see my garage and stuff. But that's just how it's going to be. But you had to have chaps on when you're using a chainsaw all day. Them chaps will protect your legs because the chaps will jam the saw's clutch cover and it will not cut through your leg. Way a lot better than cheap, garbage Chinese chainsaw chaps. Only chaps I recommend y'all to get is Husqvarna, Steel, including Oregon. Or Pro Yama. But I don't know if Husqvarna makes chaps of Poulan Pro chaps. If they do make Poulan Pro chaps, let me know in the comments below. But I've seen a lot of old saws from late 70s that don't have chain brakes safety on them, which that was definitely extremely kind of dangerous, kind of way too scary, and they were pretty loud. But it doesn't take long for how long you have to listen to them properly because you had to have hearing protections if you're going to run those all day. But modern saws are definitely quiet, but there are some of them that are loud and some of them are quiet. But these chainsaws are trimmer saws that could definitely cut through small trees and cutting firewood or doing work on the farm. I had this saw for about 6 years on my Christmas break after I graduated high school. I didn't go to college, but I did thought about that, but I decided not to. Because that's why I decided I want to make YouTube videos in 2021. So that's what I did. But if your chain gets dull, you had to have an extra chain with you just in case. This is a 810 chain I made on the MS-291. I'll get you a little close up to it where you can see it. It is definitely real sharp. I'm going to end up using the MS-291 this year. Because I got to cut some little bit of firewood for my neighbor. Because my neighbor definitely needs my little help. So I will definitely take this with me. So I can use that, including probably the other saw I'm going to get is the Extreme Power 82100 XP. As a replacement of the two other saws I had, which they had firewood keys already destroyed on purpose when I'm using them. But it's just kind of hard to fix things. Sometimes it's pretty hard to fix things when your ignition coil goes bad. It's definitely worth to have one ask for parts when you need it. If your cylinder, piston are seized up, you're going to have to end up buying you a new saw. Or just get the piston and cylinder off of the part saw and put it onto the saw that runs. I used to have a Husqvarna 455 wrencher part saw, but I got rid of it. I decided not to have it since this one is running fine. I had no trouble. The only trouble I had a couple years ago was a leaky fuel line. All I did is replace both of them. That's all I did. Except for the MS-291, but I had never had that trouble. But chainsaws are very dangerous. And they're not a toy. My dad has got injured by a chainsaw before. Way before I was born. But that happened in the early 90s before I was born, in early 2000. He got cut about right here. That tree just went the wrong way, went over that way and caused that saw to kick on him, and it landed on his leg right here, but it left him a scar after when they put stitches on him to put his leg back together. It was half cut through his leg, but I'm just glad it didn't cut him all the way. If that would have did, he would have been gone. But all mistakes and all accidents happen to everybody. Everybody does get hurt and everybody does learn from their mistakes. But you got to give a chainsaw a lot of respect after each accident instead of being afraid of it. I've been giving a lot of respect to the saws, but I usually take care of them by making them look all nice and clean. Sometimes I leave them dirty. Depends on how long I use them. But me and my dad usually like to keep them clean sometimes, but sometimes he likes to keep his all dirty. But sometimes people don't feel like being cleaning them up, and some people do. But sometimes I do, but I just don't even want to. And the second rule is pull ropes. If your pull rope gets damaged, it's always a good idea to get you a new rope. But when you're changing a broken rope, you don't have to take the flywheel inside of the recoil off. Because what happened, the spring wheel exploded and it's not real fun. It's a real pain in the butt and a big challenge to get it back in there. When you're changing rope, you don't need to take that off. You can clamp on something kind of like clampers to hold it and put the rope in and let it rewind the rope back in. That's only the best option you had. But it is an easy fix where you don't have to buy another recoil for it. Some people definitely do like to buy new recoils for them. It doesn't matter if each one of them has an American saw or a Chinese saw or a Japanese saw or any other saws like a battery powered that don't run gas, electric. Some people like gas powered saws because they had more power and can get the job done. But battery saws are definitely designed for cutting limbs off of logs. That's what they're designed for, and bigger saws can definitely cut through bigger logs. But they had bigger engines. But this saw is a 55.5cc motor, and the MS291 is a 55.5cc. They're both 55cc saws, and they both are the great cutters. But I like steel way a lot better than the Husqvarna because they start always first pull. No issues, no trouble, and they always fire up first pull. This was my first chainsaw I had. I did ran my Uncle Jim's 026 before it was mine. He had it right before I did. That was a long time ago when it happened. And then he got too tired of running that thing. Then he downgraded to a Troy belt saw. After when he gave it to me about a couple years ago, so that's what we did. Then we found out the problem that the metal piece or J thing, whatever that thing's called, that connects that contact to the wires to shut it off. It did go up, but it wouldn't shut off, but we had to use choke to kill it. That's all we did. I'll show you the Husqvarna first, and I'll show you the MS291. I usually let them warm up. Never hold them at full throttle, but only when you're cutting, because that's the rules. See that? In case you're wondering that's a chain brake. That locks the chain. That protects you from the dangerous kickback. That's designed to protect you, including me. But I'm still a rookie on those chainsaws, but I'm still learning how to respect them. But now I know never to go crazy with them anymore. That I learned how to take care of them. And never took them apart. Sometimes when I had to get them cleaned up. I'll show you the MS291's chain brake and see how the chain brake works on that.